Hey, Bigpod.
What?
Microsoft has a cool new utility that apparently you're excited about, but I still can't quite wrap my head around.
Yep.
Yeah. And of course, the record labels want more money out of ISPs concerning piracy.
Uh,
And this SuperMicro server that I have might be of a dying breed.
oh, that's bad.
That is more to come. Hey guys, welcome to No Tux Allowed. I am your host Josh, and no, I did not install Gentoo last week. I am in fact still on the same Fedora system. It is still working
Wow.
so far. Yeah, and I have brought along, as usual. I guess we could call him a co-host, not a guest. Bigpod.
Hello.
Yeah, Bigpod.
What?
Uh, I heard that you reinstalled Windows
Yes.
because you were so excited about this new thing that Microsoft announced that you just had to give it a try for yourself.
I
But you
didn't.
probably haven't tried it yet. But at the same time, do you even know if you're using it?
I'm not using it.
Oh, you're not? Okay, okay.
Let's. I'm. I didn't reinstall for this new thing Microsoft created. I reinstalled because my system was crashing all the time because something I did broke it. Welcome to me. But Microsoft did release something new and something in open source that works both on Windows and Linux. It's called Hyperlight Micro VM Manager, or yeah, Hyperlight. It's a micro VM manager. So essentially, have you ever wanted to virtualize just one piece of code, one function call during the code execution? If you have, you know exactly why this is useful. But if you don't, I'm gonna talk about it. So if you have, let's say, if you're a company and you have certain data you want to keep private, whether it be from other processes, for example, and your like personally identifiable information, that means users' names, dates of birth, emails, or anything else that could be directly tied to their person, you may want to isolate those data away from other processes running on that server. Or if you have, let's say, post terminal, you may want to the processing of the card details that happens locally, you may want to limit it away from the other processes running on the system. But for that, you do not want to run a whole VM and run the whole code in that VM. This is where Hyperlight comes in. Currently only available for Rust and C, if I remember correctly, but it is written in Rust, where you can actually just go write a whole bunch of code and then write another library which has all the right information, and when you call that library, it creates a tiny VM, so tiny it doesn't even have a kernel. It's just a virtual core and some memory. No kernel, nothing. So you do not even boot up a kernel, and then it puts that only that function into the VM with a tiny little kernel, so tiny it can only run that piece of code, executes that code, and then what you get back is basically the standard output of the code. And it can happen at, like, execution time happens in microseconds. Of course, it boots the VM before even starting the actual execution, so that happens before in the program, so that when you do actually run things, is those microseconds or even milliseconds. So you do not lose a lot compared to processing it locally, but you gain a lot in terms of privacy.
Okay, so let's talk about like a practical example here for like the non-programmer, right? So say like I am a business owner and I have a point of sale system. You know, the thing that takes your credit card.
Yes,
And
a POS system,
yeah, so
POS.
if I take the consumer's credit card, I swipe it, the transaction protocols go through. Where does Hyperlight fit into like this model? Generally.
So
So
if you have, let's say, any data that would be processed on the machine or on the computer could be processed in the Hyperlight. So anything that would be like uh, certain card details that do not leave the machine but are processed on the machine, you could, instead of putting in memory of your application, put into the memory of the Hyperlight machine, virtual machine, and process in there using a function you wrote instead of processing in a machine, which would then allow, if you process it directly in the machine memory, allow other processes like viruses, like uh, just other programs to snoop that memory and copy that data and send it to who knows where.
okay, so basically, so like most credit cards these days have like that little security chip on them.
Yeah.
That chip gets decrypted by the point of sale system. So the Hyperlight VM would actually handle the that decryption key at that
Yes.
point, of where nothing then from the rest of the system should be able to even see that data.
See the decryption process, see the data, and would only pull out the specific data it needs for that transaction to send out to, let's say, Mastercard or whoever. Nothing more than just the specific data that it needs. And because
Okay,
it's
so
inside a virtualized machine, the, another process cannot just snoop in on the memory, especially because this can be encrypted. The machine can be encrypted as well, machine memory.
so that actually sounds like a generally good idea.
Yeah,
And you know, it's good to see that Microsoft is still willing to like, you know, work with these open source projects that, you know, they're creating and they're putting it out there. To my understanding, this is licensed under an MIT license, so it'll work
no.
on. No?
As far as I know, it's Apache.
Oh, it's Apache. Okay, well, it'll
Yeah,
still it's GPL compliant,
same
so
thing.
yeah,
To be honest.
basically the same thing.
Okay,
So
let me.
it could work on your GNU
Yeah,
slash
Apache
Linux systems.
2.0. It's an Apache 2.0 license.
Okay. So it should work with your GPL source code because you know
Yeah.
Apache 2 is GPL compliant. So you know, so you can package it up with your free and open source point of sale system, assuming that you're working on one. I know somebody out there probably is, and there's a lot of people just asking them why. But hey, I'm not going to judge. If you want to do something like that, be my guest. But
Another
anyways,
use that might be more applicable to us. They didn't just like work on a point of sale system. Right? It's you may be running some untrusted code, untrusted function. You whether it be from a like some third party or you just don't trust it in general because you don't know what the hell happened with it between you and whoever wrote it for you and you. You could put that function into the Hyperlight so and disable internet connection. So even if it has like all sorts of sending data out, none of it would happen.
oh, so if for some reason I think that I have a malicious file,
No, that won't work because you need to.
no?
It's specifically made to be used within a Rust code or I believe
Ah,
C
okay.
code. It's made, for example, if you're using a third party library, but you do not trust that library, but you do not like
Okay.
you
Okay.
cannot rewrite it
So
in a logical amount of time.
so if you pull in this random library from some guy in the Rust repository, the
Yeah,
cargo repository, and you've never heard of this guy before, but for all you know, he's just some dude in the middle of Nebraska working in his spare time, and you don't know if his hat is white, gray, red, or whatever color it feels like being that day.
yeah,
You just pipe it through this.
yeah.
Okay. I think I have a pretty good grasp of what Hyperlight does nowadays, and I hope that that worked out for you as well. Uh, because when we dive into like these programming topics, I always get a little shaky about it because I'm not a programmer myself, so I'd like to uh, get like more knowledge in this headspace too. So if you like that back and forth questioning that I had with Bigpod, just let us know because I'm just legitimately curious. Because
Another,
I do know that we delve into like these advanced topics at times, and we did get a comment saying that hey, it would be nice. I don't understand what these guys are talking about. Don't be afraid to ask us to for clarifications on some things in the comments.
yeah,
Just just saying.
another great detail about Hyperlight and how Microsoft is approaching it is that they are going to be uh, pushing it towards CNCF. CNCF is a foundation, Cloud Native Computing Foundation. It is a part of Linux Foundation or a project under Linux Foundation, which means it will be having great stewardship and it will be in around everybody. It won't just be Microsoft. It will be the whole CNCF. And great thing about CNCF is there is already many projects surrounding it, including Kubernetes and things like that, like Keda and many other cloud native projects that I use, and probably many of you listening to this podcast use on your job. If you are IT administrators, you probably get the headaches of Kubernetes quite well.
I know one of these days I'm going to spin up my own Kubernetes cluster just to see if I can figure it out.
Maybe I can convince him to do it during the stream.
Maybe. So now that we got good news out of the way, Big Pod, we got
Yeah.
double course of bad news. Double course.
Yeah.
One particularly worse than the other. But let's dive deep into uh the wonderful world of U.S. copyright law and internet piracy, as the record labels got a win in a court saying that ISPs should in fact pay the record labels damages for allowing people to pirate content.
Yeah.
But they have an issue with the ruling. So to let's I'm gonna take this from like the start of this thing here first. So there's an ISP called Grande, which is a subsidiary of some broadband company, and I don't really know exactly where. But they had some customers that were sailing the high seas, going out there, grabbing their Linux ISOs and downloading them and sharing them with everybody. Typical high sea sailing stuff. Well, uh, they got like the letters from the ISP saying that hey, what you're these files that you're dealing with, they're copyrighted. You probably shouldn't be sharing these like you are. Please don't do that, otherwise we're going to turn off your service. And then they just never got around to actually turning off the service. So the record labels went and filed a lawsuit against the ISP for not doing the thing that the ISP said that they would in their terms of use. Now, the record labels won, and they requested that the ISP pay damages. So a judge said that yes, the ISPs can pay damages on the music that has been shared, but they only have to pay per album and not by song. Now, the majority of people that I've ever met that pirate music off of the internet typically don't grab just albums. Sometimes they just grab individual songs or
Yeah.
collections of songs or like mixes of different songs or even just portions of songs like a popular song with like the but just a guitar mix and stuff like that. So basically what basically when if they're paying damage per song, that is going to be a lot more money that's coming out of the
Yep.
ISP's pocket.
Yep.
And we're go- this sets a very dangerous precedent because this this means that because this did not go into a settlement, this actually went to a full verdict, which means that now your IS here in the United States at least, according to this court ruling, your ISP now needs to pay for what you're doing as the customer of your ISP,
Yep.
which means that the ISP is going to have to start paying legal fines, start paying royalties for basically everything. So I think, or well, I can probably predict with pretty good confidence that bill gonna go up
Yeah.
as a result, and they might come down even harder on people that they do detect is connecting to Pirate Bay or whatever torrenting website you happen to use. I actually don't know
Yeah.
what the popular ones are these days.
Neither do I.
Yeah, but uh, and when I mean clamp down, it means immediate service disconnection, no warning.
Yep.
It could potentially come to that, and it
Yep.
could come around to the point where the ISP sues you.
Yeah.
So maybe you should be paying for a VPN subscription, or
Don't,
buying the
uh,
content.
I'm not gonna say VPN. Buy the content.
Yeah, buy
That's
the
the
content.
only right answer.
Yeah, it really is. It's really like the most ethically correct answer, and we have Bigpod and I do say this as content creators
Yes.
because even though I don't think we specify a license on the show, uh, when you don't specify a license in the United States because this is a United States owned content, because well I just happen to be the guy that owns
Yes.
it or claims ownership. That means that it's automatically listed as all rights reserved, as in
Yes.
you can't take this episode and post it to your own YouTube channel. You can't
Simply
take
speaking, there is nothing that says you do not have if you don't have a license anywhere listed, it is automatically to be the most lockdown license.
yeah,
That's
pretty much.
basically how most kind of are in some way doing international copyright law do have, like US and well, big chunk of Europe, I believe. The same works here where I'm from, where you're automatically granted copyright as soon as you create something, and unless you give someone right to do something, they don't have the right to do something. You need to explicitly give it, which is what a license does. But I am not a lawyer, so please do, if you're gonna be talking about this, please do talk with a licensed lawyer. Do not just listen to my not legal advice.
Yeah, but anyways, I would personally prefer it that if you do upload like our content to any service that you provide that you are monetizing, that you at least share the revenue that you make with
Yeah,
us. Because
that
I'll
would
be
be
honest with
great.
you, uh, this doing this show does cost us some amount of money, if
And
not
not
if
just money,
anything, spare
time.
time. Yeah,
Time costs time.
and you might have heard it before, but time does quite literally equal money. Because you got to think about it this way: if you work a normal job where you make an hourly wage, you are literally trading your time for that company's money.
As soon as you have a job, you gave a valuation of your time.
Yeah. So it I can I can understand why the copyright system exists.
Yeah,
And I do think that there are issues with it,
sure.
but don't don't just slap the fair use label on it on everything first,
Fair.
because most of the claims I see for fair use are not actually fair use.
Yes. And you cannot say fair use. that's not a defense, as far as I understand. Again, not a legal advice. It's it's something that a judge must decide whether it is fair use or not.
Yeah. That said, uh, w- to get us back to the article here, the ISP has came out and said that according to like these other uh, court rulings, there is nothing here that says that they have to pay the damages. So this is going into appeal, obviously, and the record companies are appealing their own
Win.
payout. So
Their own
yeah,
win.
yeah, they want more money. So Grande is coming out and saying that hey, we don't think that we should even be paying anything.
Yeah.
So that's going to be an active story, and it is something that we should probably be watching this.
Yeah. Could affect not just US but the entire Western world.
Yeah, you got to remember that a lot of nations do take inspiration or even just outright copy the U.S. model when it comes to things like this.
I don't think this would be copied because it's just a ruling, but if it became a law, probably.
Yeah.
Or
So
possibly. Let's say possibly, not probably. Let's say possibly.
yeah. Let's keep an eye on that. And Bigpod,
Yeah,
I have a confession to make.
I bet you do.
I have not one, not two, but three servers in my closet.
Really? That many?
Yes. Yes. Technically, you could count my desktop computer too because it is in a server chassis.
Yeah.
So I guess there's four.
Okay.
And to my understanding, you also have servers in your life.
Yes.
Yeah. We and because we have these things in our homes, people call these things home labs. And there is a
Yeah.
company that's fairly popular in the home lab space that
Yeah.
made the news recently, as
Sadly.
and not the good kind of news because SuperMicro has lost 33% of its stock value.
That's actually
Just
good. The cutting off stock value for third is major problem.
yeah, whoever was shorting on Microsoft on SuperMicro, you definitely made some money today,
Yeah.
or Wednesday. But anyways, this is following after the company disclosed that the company that they hired, Ernest and Young, resigned,
Yeah.
and they quoted the resignation letter. Well, I don't know if they quoted it or if this auditing company quoted it,
Uh,
where it says, "Unwilling to be associated with the financial statements prepared by the management,"
yeah.
which leads to some issues because it wasn't that long ago that Supermicro also got fined uh, by the Securities and Exchange Commission for $17.5 million for fudging numbers on their financial reports.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, so this is looking to be a problem because first of all, Big Pod, we were looking at this earlier. How many companies actually produce physical servers? Like independent companies. I'm not talking about like companies that use parts from other server vendors to make their servers, but top to bottom server companies like Supermicro.
Of the names you know that have some serious market share, it's HP, Dell, IBM, and Supermicro. And then
Yeah.
and even between Dell and HP, there is a huge chasm. But between Supermicro and next company, it's another huge chasm.
Now, this is an issue because the one thing that Supermicro systems have is that a lot of them are ATX compliant,
Yes, and even
which
more importantly, they actually do sell motherboards, not just
that
completed
too.
system. A lot of these companies, Dell, HP, especially IBM, only sell completed system, completed servers, and or in case of IBM, might be just completed racks.
Yeah. Which I'll be honest with you, I was a business owner at one point, and I had to buy some servers. I bought Dell servers because they were in my price range.
Yes.
Uh, when I cracked open the lid on those Dell servers, I had an immediate holdback because I realized that if I ever had an issue with the motherboard of this system, there is no replacing the motherboard. I'm
Yep.
replacing the entire system, which fair point. Probably should be doing that anyway, but
And and
sometimes you just
yes,
want to swap it
probably
out.
also true for SuperMicro complete systems. They probably have custom motherboard specifically for
Yeah,
that server.
but
But it's
there's
also a
other
lot
things
easier to
too.
get to get parts for it because of how they produce things in general.
Yeah, but the Supermicro systems use standard PCI Express slots for their
Yes.
RAID controllers, whereas
Yeah.
the Dell does not.
Yeah.
So that's an important thing for you to know if you haven't bought servers yet and you're looking at servers that you want to buy.
Yeah.
Uh, do you want to buy? Do you want to buy just any RAID controller off the shelf and you get to pick, or do you have to pick from Dell?
I wanna buy any RAID controller,
Yeah,
or
and
possibly I don't wanna even buy a RAID controller. I wanna buy an HBA.
well, I would prefer to buy an HBA, but some people are still old fashioned. But anyways, and then when it comes to HP, the big difference between HP and Supermicro is that HP is even more proprietary than Dell is,
Yes.
to my understanding,
And even
and
more expensive.
they're more expensive systems, and they bill you for firmware updates. Not all
HPE.
some of their servers they publish the occasional free update for, but the majority of them you're paying. I think last I checked it was like $200 for a firmware update on
Wow.
a server, and
Wow.
we're talking about like server 1 use server, which typically you don't buy just one use server. You're
Yeah.
typically buying three, four, five of these things. So that cost can pile up pretty quick because you're paying per server, which I understand that you can sign up on like the support contract, but let's talk about this from like the home labber perspective. I know that Dell servers, the older Dell servers like the 740s and so on, they're fairly popular.
Yes,
Even
because
to
they
this
are a
day,
market.
yeah, yeah, even to this day because you can find them fairly cheap and be able to pick them up. But the gold standard for home labs has been
Yeah.
these super micro systems because you know you can just use off the shelf parts on these servers if you need to. You can get a standard ATX motherboard and be generally be able to put it in the super micro chassis if you needed to.
And let's remember that many integrators use SuperMicro parts.
Yeah. So like when we're talking about integrators, like that 45 drive server that you see a lot
Yeah.
of these YouTubers using. Guess what? Guess what mainboard that's using? That's a super
It's
micro
very
mainboard.
likely it's SuperMicro. I believe they
Yeah,
also
very
use some
likely.
other parts, but at least historically, for the most part, it was SuperMicro.
Yeah, and super micro is also just not a small company.
Yeah.
Because you got to remember this is a board manufacturer, which means that they have to manage like this whole supply chain of components and be able to have the facilities to at the very least store and ship these motherboards if they don't make anything themselves.
And they have to have a big enough operation to actually buy things like chipsets, which can be quite expensive to buy
Yeah, and
from company like Intel or AMD.
sometimes buy with priority
Yeah.
because that's a thing. And you have to be someone pretty big to be able to afford that expedite fee if you want to buy with priority and get your chips a year sooner.
Yeah, and to think about right now, they last time I saw they were doing rack scale systems with integrated cooling, which a small operation wouldn't be doing. Just to think about their scale, their size, they're not just building individual servers; they're building rack scale server setups. So a
Yeah,
whole
and
42 U server rack together with an integrated power and cooling, like water cooling.
Yeah, and this rack unit is not designed to function alone.
Yeah,
A lot of these rack units are designed to work with stacks of 5, 10 racks in a row.
yeah,
So they're not designing just a rack. They're designing basically your entire data center,
yeah,
which that that does take engineering work because this isn't these systems are not just like your standard home computer. Like I don't know if you've ever been to a LAN party, Bigpod, but that room gets awful hot and sweaty. Can
yeah.
you imagine quadruple the number of systems in that room?
Well, I've been to actual server rooms, so
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about. And I organized a LAN one time, or helped organize.
yeah, and in my experience,
So
uh, yeah, in my experience, uh, a server room is not all too unlike a LAN party because
yeah,
it is hot, it's a little sweaty, and it's definitely noisy.
very
So,
noisy.
you and this is with air conditioning running at basically full blast.
Yeah,
So, there's engineering work that needs to be put into these because
yeah,
on a previous episode, my server room hit like 107 degrees Fahrenheit, uh, and that caused some rather substantial networking issues for me. Uh, so I understand a little bit about what these people have to engineer around, but then again, I'm also dealing with the worst case scenario.
and let's remember that at this point of the AI craze, you sometimes need to have a whole rack be connected into building-wide cooling system for water cooling, not just one server or one server water cooling, not just one rack water cooling, an integrated unit, but the
Yeah,
whole room of servers, whole data center of servers connected to the same line, which then dissipates outside with whether it be just air or even chilling towers. That's how they go because of how much heat this kind of servers output. That the DGX or whatever it's called, the eight GPU monstrosity by Nvidia, produces a lot of heat. So does
but
the 96 core CPU by AMD.
yeah, because with these AI models, they are taxing these systems hard,
Yes.
and there you have three methods of having a powerful system. You can have a system that's really fast, and you can have it much like the triangle with cars, right? You can have a system that runs really hot and be really fast, or you can have a system that runs really cold and be
It's really
really
slow.
slow because it's not doing anything.
Yeah. And these systems are really fast. Therefore, they output a lot of heat and you need to move the heat. Otherwise, those servers get slower. It's called
Yeah,
thermal throttling.
and eventually, if they still don't get any cooler, they melt.
They shut down and they have
Well,
no
they're supposed
compute.
to. They're
Yes.
supposed to, but sometimes they don't.
That's why a lot of, especially bigger data centers, have a building wide water cooling. You literally connect the rack into the water cooling system and water goes around. Like, you have certain ideas built by other YouTubers of such on a DIY scale, but that is an actual thing. And about how it's done properly, with you have
Yeah,
options of like door based radiator, which is what I like. But if you need even more cooling, you do the actual direct contact between the water block and the CPU. Kind of like you would see on your desktop if you have water cooling, just much better done.
yeah, and it. it's a pretty big deal that like this article is coming out because the article that I'm pulling here is from CNBC, which is not a small news organization.
Yeah.
So this is going to go around, and that stock value is probably going to be dipping a little bit lower depending on how like the story develops.
Yeah.
Because it makes me sad to see that this is happening to Supermicro, because I do like their systems generally. I don't care about like the looks of like my servers because they're in a room that I'm not
Yeah.
looking at all the time. But they typically are quieter than the Dell and HP options. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, and
And
the
I
fact that
like
they
the
have pretty much available spare parts and use standard components is also pretty awesome.
yeah, like standard 3.5 inch hard drive connected through a SATA port. Supermicro supports that. You
Yeah.
can't say that about some of the HP systems. Uh, you
Let me
know,
correct you. It's not HP, it's HPE, as it is HP Enterprise, Hewlett Packard Enterprise. It's actually an important distinction to make.
well,
These are
yeah,
two different companies.
they are two different companies, but when I'm talking about an HP and a server, you know which one I'm talking about because
Yes.
Hewlett Packard doesn't make servers.
Yeah, that's Hewlett Packard Enterprise, HPE.
Yeah, they wanted to split. They wanted to split them apart. That way, one actually looks like it actually makes money. But there is a another company that Supermicro managed to hire. So they're looking into this, and they haven't said anything yet. But I'm curious to see how this works out.
It's the review is supposedly still ongoing,
Yep.
based on our source, which is CNBC.
Yeah. So hopefully Supermicro can make it out of this, and they keep their books clean.
Yeah, hopefully, and
Because
hopefully they stay
what
in market.
I can guarantee you, when it comes around to tax time, it's super nice to have clean books because then when you deal
Yeah.
with the inevitable audit, uh, it goes by a lot smoother.
Also, before we stop this topic, Supermicro. Uh, Later on, you're gonna see an email. If you wanna sponsor us, don't be shy to email us. Same goes for any other company we mentioned during this segment.
Yeah. In fact, not even just potential sponsors. Anybody can send us an email by going to sending an email address
Look,
to this
it's
email.
down there right now.
Yeah. Is it spinning yet?
No, it's not spinning. It's just
Is it
sliding
glowing?
up. No, it's
It's
just
sliding
sliding
up?
up.
Oh,
And
okay. One of
when
these
it's
days,
gonna hide itself, it's gonna slide down. Ooh,
maybe
magic of editing.
maybe it'll poke down from the top just to play tricks with people just a little bit.
No,
No.
that's too much work.
Okay. But that is an actual email address. It's not fake like the previous iterations of it where it was just a
Yep.
forwarding address. It
Yeah.
is very much real. As much as real as I'm willing to pay for it at least. So you can send it to us. In fact, it's already been confirmed to work.
Yeah.
So I hope that we get some feedback on that these topics specifically because I know that there are some people that they're like us. They have the home labs, and I'm I'm curious on like what your setup is. I mean, I understand like the mini PCs are popular, but I want to talk to the guy that actually has a server rack. It's just like, is he run? Are you running Supermicro systems? Are you running Dells that you bought off of eBay like I used to? I'm curious.
And again, before we stop, Dell's HP Supermicro $45. Don't be afraid to send us an email. We would love to have sponsors.
I also have
Upgrade
30U
the
worth of rack space available, so I have plenty of space on the rack for like
and
B-roll.
and part of my room that is servers is also fairly empty right now. So don't be
Yeah,
afraid.
we have rack space, who is also not a sponsor.
Yeah. Now
But
I I think this topic has run its course. So first, a bit of advertisements. For all of you who know what I'm gonna be speaking about, please do not roll your eyes too much. In December, we're gonna have a giant stream.
Yeah,
Me and him, Josh.
yeah. So this stream is going to take up the last week of the year. We're going to let's see. Does the last week of the year start on a Sunday?
I maybe.
Close enough. 29th. So I think it's the 29th. It depends on like when my shutdown schedule starts. I think it starts. I think technically I'm on shutdown from like the 23rd. I'll have to double check, but I'll get you guys an update for it later. But anyways, starting from Sunday to maybe the Saturday, we might be running a stream on our YouTube channel. That is youtube.com/ at no tucks allowed.
Yeah.
You will see our fancy, wonderful live stream showing up there, and it's going to be powered by this little Intel Celeron powered PC. Maybe.
Maybe.
We're going to be running some tests on this guy first, just to see if.
Or it might be part of one of those SuperMicro servers he has in the back.
Oh yeah, it could be part of that, but I want to see if this little guy can do it because I've been messing around with the idea of like having my own dedicated streaming PC. That way, when I'm doing like these distro hacking things and I'm dealing with, I don't have to figure out how to stream while installing Gentoo on the same system.
Yeah.
Because
Buy another server.
yeah, that and spending money on hardware during the holiday season for me is not nearly as feasible as like the middle of the summer. So I want to be messing around with that stuff a little bit more. And this stream we're going to be recording a live episode of which later on you're going to see that same episode get edited. You're also going to see Bigpod and Josh attempt to play video games together.
Yes. Attempt to play video games separately.
Yes, and we might even have an episode of distro hacking during that stream as well.
And we're probably
You never
gonna
know.
see Bigpod build and crash a Ceph cluster because he likes Ceph apparently.
Or, if there's enough people on the stream, we could take a minute, set up a wonderful Super Tux Kart server somewhere, have a massive Super Tux Kart race, and see who wins. Is it you or me? Because I'm pretty good at Super Tux Kart Big Pod.
And I'm pretty
I am
bad.
going to completely destroy you.
Also, now a pitch for you guys. If you wanna see length go more than just the days we currently staked, you will have to subscribe, give likes, and donate some money to us on Patreon. And if we get enough subscribed, I'm gonna convince him to continue the stream while he's at work. So I'll be doing the stream and he'll be doing it when he comes home. All sleepy from work.
Obviously, the stream will inevitably come to an end at some point.
Yes.
But
maybe we can get him to do that because that's gonna be fun, funny.
it would be interesting to see how long my wonderful internet connection can run a stream. So we'll find out. If all else fails and it all crashes and burn, it's fine. Justification to call up that ISP and go like, hey, can I get connected to the fiber network finally, please? Because I'm still working through a very questionable connection.
Oh,
It's been reliable so far.
We're gonna see. This will be a fun adventure.
Yeah, and
join us.
Of course,
subscribe, like,
of course,
donate.
If you are an internet-based ISP and you would like to provide us, provide me personally,
all
backup
ISPs are internet-based.
Well, satellite-based.
Okay,
or
yes.
satellite, cellular, or anything like that. If you want to give me if you want to tell me that you're willing to be like my backup internet connection, you can send me an email directly here. Or
Well, the our standard email, contact
Yeah,
at talkspace.com.
yeah, the Talkspace email. Just send it to there. And of course, if you would like to shout at me directly, I have these wonderful link right here somewhere.
Yes. And
And
right
this
beside it is my link
Yeah,
for
and
Mastodon or
yeah,
any other
the
activity pub activated federated service.
yeah. So your Mastodon, your Ploromas, your Threads. I think that even I've heard somewhere that like Twitter might be considering it enabling ActivityPub as well.
That would be interesting.
That would be interesting, right?
Yeah. That the basically whole uh, short message social media would be on one backend. That would be kind of cool.
That would be kind of cool. But it works on PeerTube too. So like
Yeah.
if you have an account on a PeerTube instance somewhere, you can comment on our show. You can shout at me, uh, and Bigpod as well. But of course, we also have our own individual YouTube channels you can go to, and if you can just want to leave a comment there, or you like our content because I have a video that might be coming out,
Yeah.
which is more than what Big Pod can say right now.
Yeah. I'm
So
I'm working on a whole set of videos. Some of it
he's
you might
working on a
see
whole set. I've already
during
got a
the
whole
live
set of
stream.
videos. I just need to hit the record
Yeah.
button on
I,
more of
I
them.
I need to first write the script and then hit the record button. But yeah,
But
it's gonna
anyways,
be a
guys,
serious.
that's gonna be it for the show.
Ooh.
In the meantime, I have set up a challenge for myself to figure out like everything that System D can possibly do. So
It's a lot.
it is an awful lot. So we're
So
going to set up a Gen 2 system all in where we manually configure System D to handle as many things as System D says they can handle.
so you're gonna do system extensions, containers,
System extensions, containers, Home D,
the
Run
other kind of
Zero.
containers because there are multiple types that it
Yeah,
can do.
we're going to do as much as I can possibly get working, and we're going to see how long I can actually run that system. Because and we're doing this all through Gen 2, which means that we're going to be putting some real work into it. And
Yeah.
Lennart Pottering, I tagged you on this Mastodon post. I hope that you're there to take some notes because I
Will
have
this
no
be
idea what.
streamed?
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh,
I,
Titro hacking.
yeah.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're right. You got that distro hacking because somebody's got to test this little box to see if he's capable of a long stream. And
Yep.
who does the long streams around here? The guy that installs Gentoo for a living.
I won't say for a living, but at least you get some money out of it.
Uh, I haven't taken a payout yet because YouTube has like this minimum threshold
Yeah.
that you have to meet first. But I have. I'm not
You
far.
made
I'm not
sense.
far from there. But anyways, guys, we'll see you later.
Goodbye.